Right, age phobes, we are up to the Cambridge study. Young fathers more likely to pass on genetic flaws. Some nice pictures, some DNA. Children born of fathers are more likely to inherit genetic flaws than those born to fathers a decade older. Unexpected research by Cambridge University finds. It's from 2015. Research found germ cells of teenage fathers had more DNA flaws than those of fathers in their 20s. Young fathers are far more likely to pass on genetic flaws to children than men a decade older, a major study by the University of Cambridge study has found. They need to compare this to that age window of Dan Eisenberg and Chris Kazawa's late 30s to early 50s, 2012 to 2019 research. But research on 24,000 parents and their children found that sperm cells of teenage fathers had 30% higher rates of DNA mutation, increasing the risk of birth defects compared with those of men in their 20s. Just imagine what it would be compared to men in their 40s and 50s. Yikes. Go outside, look at the crazy ass people and how hard it is to get along with them if you're smart and kind. I understand why people would want to isolate from people because the behavior out there is absurd. Scientists said last night that the unexpected findings would force textbooks to be rewritten. Yeah, no shit. But said it was not clear why teenage male germ cells are more likely to accumulate more DNA errors, which can cause inherited diseases. Mutations, the result of DNA copying errors during cell division. That's not always the case. Sometimes mutation can be a good thing. Can occur in different cells of the body and at different stages of life. Some, such as those that occur in germ cells, sperm, which create sperm or eggs, can cause changes affecting offspring. Researchers from the University of Cambridge examined DNA from 24,097 parents and their children. The study found that germ cells of adolescent boys have more than 6 times the rate of DNA mutations as the equivalent egg cells in adolescent girls, and that the number of mutations passed down to children of teenage fathers was higher as a result. So what they're saying is young mothers good, young fathers bad. Previously, it had been thought that germ cells in both boys and girls go through a similar number of cell divisions and would have similar rates of DNA mutation by the time individuals reach puberty. The same study compared fathers of different ages. It found that sperm cells in teenagers had approximately 30% higher rates of DNA mutation than those of young men in their 20s. The study found that levels of DNA mutation in the sperm cells of teenage boys were similar to those of men aged in their late 30s and 40s, where the aging process will be expected to result in an increased risk of genetic flaws. But we know from the Chris Kazawa, I just want you to remember that, Chris Kazawa, Dan Eisenberg research that there are less genetic flaws in men in their 40s and 50s when it comes to reproductive transport cells. I linked a 7-page paper from the University of Washington from 2019. Please read the research and check out the former videos. I made them like yesterday. You can check out my videos from yesterday. This is from 2015. The research on fathers being in that 30, 40, 50 age window is from 2012 to 2019. I linked the studies and I read the articles. So compared to my videos from yesterday. Researchers have said the findings could explain why the children of younger fathers have been found to have a higher risk of disorders such as autism, schizophrenia, spina bifida, which have some genetic links. So see, like I was saying, like there was this myth that older fathers led to autism, schizophrenia, and spina bifida. If anything, the 2015 Cambridge study is saying that younger fathers lead to that. And they're saying, well, it compares to people in their 30s and 40s and 50s who become dads, until you look at the Northwestern study, the Harvard study, the Austria study, the Philippines study, and the University of Washington study from 2012 to 2019. Again, nobody has read the full studies unless they wrote them or are deeply concerned with the issue. The studies are like 3,000 pages long a lot of times. You may have read an abstract or a part of one. You are not a doctor, so even if you're a doctor, you may have read like 1 or 2 or 3 studies. That's a lot of information. That's like 30 books, really. I mean, a book is like 300 pages long. People that read full studies and are doctors might be a better person to argue with than me. Again, Dan Eisenberg at the UW. You're not going to argue with me. I'm just repeating the research. I am not a PhD. I am just independently researching some of this shit. However, a study could not establish why teenage boys had such an increased risk of DNA errors. Shorter telomeres in their sperm. Researchers said the patterns could be a result of an unknown cell divisions during male childhood or a spike in DNA error during puberty, which isn't true. Experts stress that the absolute chance of having children with abnormalities remain low for fathers in their teens or 40s, with an overall risk of around 2%. Also higher than that. Geneticist Dr. Peter Forster from the McDonald Institute at the University of Cambridge said future textbooks might need to be rewritten to account for the unexpected and unexplained finding. No shit. Look at the older male studies in middle age. It appears that the male germ cells accumulate DNA errors unnoticed during childhood or commit DNA errors at an especially high level at the onset of puberty, he said. However, the reason for this is not yet clear. It is clear now that they have shorter telomeres in their sperm. Possibly the DNA copying mechanism is particularly error-prone at the beginnings of male puberty or sperm reproduction, and boys may undergo dozens more cell cycles and therefore DNA copying errors that has previously been suspected, he said. No, is short telomeres. The study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B, which is the same institute that published the Dan Eisenberg study on the betterness of middle-aged fathers in 2019. It's from 2015. Found that male germ cells go through around 150 cell divisions by puberty compared to the 22 cell divisions experienced by female germ cells. Again, younger fathers bad, older fathers better in a particular age window, younger mothers better. Until now, it had been thought that male germ cells had undergone 30 divisions by puberty. Dr. Forster, who conducted the study with colleagues from the Institute of Forensic Genetics in Munster, Germany. I love Munster cheese, you know, it's just like, it melts well. It's like Colby Jack, but like smokier. And it's a very inexpensive cheese for a cheese that is so goddamn delicious. So any Munster Germany said the overall risk of abnormality for children born of teenage fathers remains small at around 2%. I guarantee you it's more than that. Later haters, evidence or fuck off.